What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV, coming to you live with your Packers Daily Chat. Wherever you are on the internet, that's where we want to be because we're devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide, especially on a day like today when the schedule is released. That's right, the 2019 Green Bay Packers and NFL regular season schedule set to be unveiled this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. But, of course, in this land of leaks that we call the internet, the schedule's already out. We already knew the Packers starting in Chicago, obviously, in prime time. Packers actually starting with 3 straight division games. Chicago, Minnesota, and then Denver. So that's obviously not a division game, but opening with 2 division games, that is tough stuff. And then closing down weeks 15 through 17, 3 in a row against division foes. That is tough. That's a tough row to hoe right there. So the idea of looking at the schedule, obviously every year everyone wants to go through and go win, loss, and then tabulate it at the end of the count. But as I say each and every year, just concentrate on the first quarter of the schedule. By the time you get to October, November, especially December, teams, situations, everything changes. Everything you thought was going to be a tough game early on becomes not quite the matchup you thought it was going to be, and teams that you thought were probably potential pushovers suddenly become powerhouses. It's always best when you're looking at the schedule for the first time is to look at that first quarter. Opening in Chicago, home opener against the Vikings, home against Denver, and then a Thursday night contest against the Eagles. That's a pretty tough opening right there. Of course, there's no easy games, there's no gimmies, but the Packers have to come out early and often, especially with all these home games early in the year. They barely have any games in Lambeau down the stretch. I think 2 in the last 5-6 weeks or so. That's tough stuff right there for a rookie head coach. Of course, you can only play the schedule they give you, and now they have it. It's going to be interesting to see what LaFleur comments on and or focuses on when he's asked about it in public. But, he's got to win those early division games. They're so important. And that will be a big test for him right out of the gate, his rookie head coach debut season. 8-8 season. Thanks, Arjon. Thanks for not paying attention to anything I just said. Stop predicting the record. We have no idea how LaFleur will coach. I don't think it even matters how LaFleur will coach. We don't know anything about anything. The draft hasn't even happened yet. So, if Haskins for some reason falls to 12, do you see us getting him? It really depends on Gutekunst, doesn't it? It's funny, some of the shine has kind of come off Haskins recently in the draft industrial complex. I still think he's an outstanding prospect. If Gutekunst loves him, it wouldn't surprise me to see him taken there, but I would tend to doubt it. Only Brian Gutekunst can tell us who he thinks is a potential franchise quarterback. And I'm sure he's keeping close counsel on that subject. When is Coach having a presser? I haven't seen one scheduled yet. We get Gutekunst on Monday. But maybe they'll put him out before the draft, though I tend to doubt it. 16-0, Aaron Harper's got it. Hey Nags, you were right. The Distillery is having a draft party put on by The Fan. Starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Very good. Peter, I hope you are bringing along an iPad or an iPhone or something, some kind of device where you can watch the Cheesehead TV live stream while you're at said party. Just keep it on and stream it. You don't even need to watch us. Just, show us some love. Odds we trade back and then up with Seattle again. Always a possibility, especially when you consider Seattle, as usual, is in need of picks, and John Schneider and Brian Gutekunst are not afraid to call each other. What place does Kumaro have on the team next year? Well, Caden, whatever he earns. It's going to be a big-time competition, and it's interesting. He gets lost a lot in the conversations about the wide receiver spot, which is, I think, understandable. He was kind of all the talk of the town in preseason, and then he was gone for so long with that injury. And by the time he got on the field and saw significant snaps, they were out of playoff contention. So I think he does. Everybody talks about, the drafted guys from last year, but I think Kumaro will be in the mix. There's no doubt about it. Nags, in addition to Kuhn, what other former Packer would be good as a broadcaster? Whew, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Am I going to Nashville? No, I will be here in the studio talking to you fine folks on the old stream for Cheesehead TV on the YouTube page. But you know what? Speaking of the schedule, if by chance you are looking for tickets for any of these games, now that you've got the dates and you're booking hotels and maybe, rustling up some friends to go see a game or two, let me tell you something. You want to use Ticket King to book your tickets. They're a partner of ours at Cheesehead TV. You're going to want to use them. They're based in Wisconsin since 1992. Ticket King is located across the street from Lambeau Field on Oneida. They're happy to help you find just the right tickets for Packers games for larger groups or single tickets, both home and away. So not just the games at Lambeau, away games too. They partner with local Green Bay businesses for tailgating and bus transportation, so you don't have to worry about driving or parking. They're even open on game day for last-minute tickets or possible upgrades. They even have a drive-through window. You don't even have to get out of your car. Yeah, if you're not in Green Bay, no problem. Just use the Ticket King link on the Cheesehead TV homepage, about halfway down on the right. That's where you want to go. You're going to get anything and everything you need when it comes to tickets for these here games, people. Make it happen. Aside from Greedy Williams, the top cornerback prospects didn't run that fast at the Combine. Will they go later than expected? Well, it depends on who's doing the expecting, right? You mentioned it here. It's a thin cornerback group. When you're talking to personnel people, I think most people don't. I think most people would expect the corner group to go a little later because of what you're talking about. I don't think there's a lack of athleticism, but pure speed is going to push a lot of those guys into the second day. What days are you streaming the draft? Just Thursday and Friday. Alex, we will be streaming here Thursday night. And then Friday, you can still hang out at the Google Hangout / YouTube page for Cheesehead TV. Andy Herman will be leading his merry band of draftniks, a bunch of people doing a hangout. He did it last year and it was really successful and really popular. We figured day 2 was a really good day to do it because that's when they're really drilling down into a lot of these prospects and guys that, frankly, I don't have the time to do a lot of the work on. So Andy and those guys, they look at all the tape for all these prospects. So they'll be drilling down there on Friday night. And then on Saturday, I'll be at Kettle of Fish here in Manhattan. It's the best premier Packers bar in New York City. I won't be streaming my hangout, but I will be putting up videos after pretty much every Packers selection, depending on how many they end up making. But we'll have content for you throughout the weekend, no doubt about that. Is it just me, or does the energy this year compared to last year feel way better? I'm not sure what you're gauging that on. When you're looking at the off-field energy, they haven't really started much. They've just gotten in the building and started weightlifting, etc. I wouldn't have thought that would be the case after the Bleacher Report article, but I think it's better in the sense that there's new and hope and uncertainty in the sense of things could turn around, so to speak, after 2 losing seasons. But, we'll see. Devin Bush or Hawkinson at 12? I would go Hawkinson, but I would not be surprised to see them go Devin Bush, who is a 3-down player in my book who can absolutely help them day one stepping on the field. Let's see what's going on Twitter, shall we? See what people are saying in the old tweet machine. Josh starts us off with, if Green Bay suffers deja vu with number 12 in week 1 at Chicago, you hush your mouth, Josh. Do you see the Packers looking for a first-round QB in the 2020 draft? I know that the offensive line will be a priority in the 2019 draft, but Chicago's edge crew and defense as a whole is no joke. Well, a lot to unpack there, Josh. You don't want to be drafting specific to one opponent. Ron Wolf did that because of Randy Moss back in the day when he selected 3 defensive backs in a row after Randy torched them his rookie year. And, in hindsight, he admitted that was a bit of a mistake, a bit of an overreaction. Yeah. Now, do you want to, fortify yourself and get ready for that edge crew, as you call them? Yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure that you're always getting better or improving or developing along your offensive line. As for if, Rodgers gets hurt week 1, let's not put that juju on him, shall we? He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine, I tell you. Jordy not signing the 1-day contract yet has me seriously wondering if they are working on a 1-year deal. I know this won't get in the chat, but I could see a Jordy reunion happening depending on the draft. Jonathan, I'm not sure I agree with your police work there. I think they probably have arranged the one-day contract. They're just waiting to announce it. That's my hunch. I don't have any inside information there, though. But yeah, no, I don't see a one-year deal for Jordy happening. With 2 first-round picks, are the Packers able to use the 5th-year option on both or just one? That's a really good question, and they are allowed to use them on both. 5th-year options count no matter what, how many teams have those picks, and they're 1 through 32. Whoever makes those selections, the 5th-year option is due to the collective bargaining agreement. It is that's written into the bylaws, so to speak. The 5th-year option goes no matter who selects it. Let's head back over to the live chat, shall we? What second-year players do you see contributing the most or making the biggest jump? I've been talking about that a bit this offseason. I think Tony Brown is the one I often go to. I think he's showed a lot of promise with his snaps down the stretch last year. Outside of that, I think they got to get something out of Oren Burks, and he's shown all the ability in the world. I think he's got incredible upside. And then Jamon Moore. Moore and Burks are the 2 guys you got to get something out of. You used some significant picks on them last year, and you barely got anything out of them their rookie seasons. You got to have them step up in 2019. There's no doubt there. I don't see the Packers staying in a rut as bad as the 70s and 80s, even after Rodgers retires. Teams are more capable of having quick turnarounds than back then. Yes and no, Nathan. I mean, the 70s and 80s were a special time. So yes, I have a hard time believing they'd fall back that badly. But you don't have to look much further than a team like the Denver Broncos, who were on top with a Super Bowl victory with Peyton Manning at quarterback. And then ever since then, they have been, floundering. They have been trying to fill that void at quarterback and trying to basically field a competitive/contending team. It just hasn't happened. So while it may not be as bad as the 70s and 80s in Green Bay, it'd still be pretty disheartening. Thanks for answering. No problem, Kyle. Finally, a good bye week. Yep, week 11 is pretty good later in the year after everything injury-wise is piled up a bit, and you get that little breather there coming off after a home game too, so you're not have any extra travel. It's good. That next stretch, though, you're flying out to San Francisco, and then you're flying back out east here to New York for the Giants game. That's a tough one. Reminiscent a little bit of last year when they were out in LA and then came back east and played New England. Offensive line is never too early. I tend to agree. An offensive lineman selected at 12 is not a bad idea. If it's a guy they deem worthy of that pick, I'm all for it. Can Burks get off the block? That is the number 1 question in his game, Ryan. And when you talk about development, making that jump from year 1 to year 2, that is it for Oren Burks. If he can start doing that, even just sometimes, he'll be going a long way to getting on the field a lot more. No London game, huh? Yeah, Walter, we knew that already coming into today. The London matchups were already set, but yes, no London trip for the Packers this year. I don't know when it's going to happen. They're one of only 2 teams, or no, they're the only team now not slated to have ever been to London. After this year, they will be the only team that hasn't gone. Aaron Rodgers has lobbied for it. It's hard to get teams to agree to play the Packers in London because they're giving up a really solid traveling fan base that shows up. We'll see if and when it happens. Good thing I didn't go into law enforcement. Cheesehead TV is the best Packers content I have come across. Not sure the law enforcement thing means, but thanks. DK Metcalf or Hollywood Brown? Well, Alex, they're pretty different wide receivers. I would prefer Hollywood. I'd love to see him taking the top off of a defense and letting Aaron Rodgers go bombs away and trying to overthrow him. God, I hope Oliver falls to 12. Well, I am sure the deity of your choice is listening to your prayer, and I hope he answers you. I pray for David Montgomery in the 3rd. A lot of prayers going on here this afternoon. I like it. Hey, David Montgomery is my favorite back in this draft. And I know I'm not saying he's the most talented. I'm not even saying he's the best. He's just my favorite. Chew on that. I love Montgomery's game. I loved watching him in college, and I would love to see him in the green and gold. Do you think Blake Martinez still has more upside? Jim, I do, actually. I think physically it's interesting to see how he came back much heavier, added a lot of muscle. You could see it in his face and in his body when he was interviewing or meeting with reporters last week. was it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. He's noticeably thicker, bigger guy. Will that rob him a little bit of the sideline to sideline stuff, explosion? We'll see. But I will say the one big thing he can do, and I said this on Twitter, and he responded, so he's aware of my notes here. Just hanging on to those interceptions. He is a number of times had his hands on balls that would have been INTs if he could just complete the catch, basically. And those are game-changing plays being left on the field. If he can start doing that, start hauling those in, that's another level that he takes it to and really kind of helps set the stage for Aaron Rodgers in the offense. Does not having a solo owner make Green Bay more attractive for good general managers? Would they appreciate someone in a position like Murphy's more than a disgruntled owner type? I don't know, Nathan. I've never really thought of that. I would think so. I know there's two schools of thought there. People saying, I know Tom Silverstein has argued that the opposite of that is because of the structure and because of the fact that the coach, the cap guy, and the GM are all on equal footing and all reporting to the same guy, that makes it unattractive because you're essentially having to fight for whatever it is you want along with two other guys. And if there is any kind of disagreement, infighting, etc., well, you've all kind of got to go to the same guy rather than you're the general manager, you're in charge, it's your shop. So that, to me, and I get that. I totally understand that criticism, no doubt about it. Nick, you heard me, all caps. I want us to draft a kicker in the second round just to see Banky's reaction. Yeah, I think we all would love to see that. But after picking up a kicker on waivers, I'd be surprised. Next, do you think Devin Bush or Andre Dillard would be good picks at 12? Feels a little early for Dillard, but that I don't know anything, so don't listen to a word I say. But Devin Bush at 12, I think, makes a world of sense. Like I mentioned earlier, he's a 3-down player, instantly steps on the field week 1 and helps your defense immediately. I love him as a player. Should Burks try to move back to safety like in college? John, I don't think so at this point. He's spent a year in linebacker in the system. Give him another year. Let him keep developing. He's put on a little weight since those days, so I like it. J.K. Scott, a field flipper. Julian, we'll see. I know Banky's big complaint is that he doesn't flip the field. When is the next Packer transplants? Well, Klondike, if you purchase the Cheesehead TV Draft Guide, there is a episode, unseen by the general public, of Packer transplants that's included, a link to it included in your draft guide. Outside of that, I don't know. Probably, it was funny because I remember back in the day when there was a schedule release, Banky and I used to do a transplant when they would release the schedule, but it literally was just like an hour of Banky going, we're going 16-0. Win. He would go down like, week 1, win. Week 2, win. Week 3, win. Week 4, win. So, compelling as that content may have been, we thought a chat would probably suffice. So as far as next transplants, I'm not sure. We'll see. Do you know what Sam Ficken's name means in German? I saw it on Twitter the other day, but I've forgotten. Coward said Green Bay will have a top 10 defense. What say you? I say, why on earth are you listening to Colin Coward about anything? And then coming into my chat and putting it in the chat. I thought we were doing so well. I had gone many weeks without seeing Coward's name in my chat. Come on, people. I don't care if he's saying something good. I don't care if he's saying something bad. Now, who cares what Colin Coward says about anything to do with the Green Bay Packers? I don't know, man. And I'm sure, hey, I've never met Colin. I'm sure he's a lovely individual. I have no animosity towards him. But really, who gives a crap what he says about the Green Bay Packers? Seriously. Nicholas Court. Well, thank you for all the kudos on the Banky impression. Uncanny Banky impression. Well, come on. We were saying in the office earlier this morning, everybody's got a Banky impression. Everybody's got one. At school, we all had them. Ooh. Oh, man. Murderer's Row here. Who would you rather pick? Risner, Dillard, or Taylor? Oh, man, that's tough. Probably Risner? I don't know. Oh, that's hard. Has the schedule been released yet? Not officially, but we know what it is due to all the leaks and reporting around it. Which, why don't I just go through it right now, since some people are probably just joining us and we can talk about it a little bit. Week 1, obviously everyone's already known this, but the Packers open up in Chicago in prime time. Week 2, they have their home opener against the Vikings. Week 3, another home game against the Denver Broncos. Week 4 is a Thursday night football game, another primetime game against the Philadelphia Eagles in Lambeau Field. And then they turn around week 5, on the 6th of October, they travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Week 6, back home on Monday Night Football on the 14th of October to take on the Detroit Lions. Follow that up with a game against the Oakland Raiders, again at Lambeau. Then comes a tough stretch. They go to Kansas City for a Sunday Night Football game. That is going to be must-see TV. Pat Mahomes against Aaron Rodgers. Then out west to face the Chargers in Week 9. And then Week 10, they're back at Lambeau and taking on the Carolina Panthers. Week 11 is the bye, late bye. You love that. Get kind of recharged, refreshed for what's hopefully a stretch run there at the end of the season. But then they go out to San Francisco, out west again, and then back across the country to face the Giants here in New York. Then back home to face Washington at Lambeau Field. That's December 8th. And then December 15th, they're home against the Bears. And then they end the season 2 weeks in a row on the road against division foes. This is a tough, tough ending to this schedule. At Minnesota on Monday Night Football. That's December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. Get your shopping done. And then wrapping it up, Week 17 in Detroit. Can we stop ending the year in Detroit, please? I can't tell you how many games I've had to go and cover in Detroit and stayed at that damn Detroit Airport Westin. It's awful. It's terrible. And it's the holiday season and you want me in Detroit? Come on, people. Come on, NFL. Enough of this. This is like 3-4 years we've had to do this nonsense. I'm over it. Anyway. Timmy's laughing at must-see TV. The Chiefs will be 6-1, and we will be looking for our first win. Clearly not listening to anything I said earlier in the program, which means we don't know anything about how any of these teams will play. Just because they were all good or bad last year doesn't mean anything in 2019. Besides, it's Mahomes versus Rodgers. Who cares what their records are? Dude, listen before you type. Of the two Devons, White or Bush at 12, somehow both are available. Which one would I like, Ryan? Probably Devin. Probably Devin Bush. How much do you read into strength of schedule? I tend not to read too much into it. Ryan, I don't look at it at all. Remember, was it last year the Packers had the easiest schedule? Yeah, so what? Week 1, Rodgers gets hurt, and then everything changes. I think... what's his name? Warren Sharp does a good job of trying to quantify some of that stuff, trying to give you at least a realistic idea of strength of schedule. It's still not perfect, but I think it does a much better job than the traditional strength of schedule stuff that flies all over the internet. Will Zadarius Smith be used the same way Pettine used Wilkerson? I don't think quite like that. I think he's similar in the sense that you can use him up and down the front. He did do that with Wilkerson, especially in New York with the Jets. I think Smith will be on the edge a lot more than Wilkerson ever was. Chiefs defense will be bad. We don't know. We haven't even had the draft yet. We don't know. I know everybody wants a hot take and everybody wants to tell the future, but get the crystal ball. Pete Doherty also said that all they want to know is the crystal ball stuff. Like they want you to look into your crystal ball. We don't know. Team stuff. We don't know. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. It's been lovely talking to you all. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to your questions. There are a ton of them. It's always amazing to me. You guys come out and you chat and you hang with me. Thank you so much. Thanks for the interest. I'm sorry I did the snapback about the coward thing, but it does drive me nuts. A reminder, use Ticket King if you want to go to these games. Ticket King, the Ticket King on Cheesehead TV, about halfway down on the right, little button there. Go there. They've been in Wisconsin since 1992. OGs. Right across from Lambeau. You can't get more Wisconsin than that. Use the Ticket King. Get your tickets now because we've got the dates. You can book your hotels. You can book your tickets. Do it now at the Ticket King. telling you, people, you won't regret it. While you're doing stuff, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, tell your family. YouTube, Cheesehead TV, that's us. Subscribe, people. Get it done. All right, I'll be back tomorrow, probably with some extra cheese. In the meantime, I hope you all have a great night. Hope no news breaks outside of the schedule release tonight. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.